What up, peeps? It's your girl, Dodge, coming back to Frontal Takes. Well, it's that time again, you guys. It is movie review time, and this is for Rambo Last Blood. You all know how hyped I was to see this. I talked about this well over a year, about a year and a half ago, off and on, how this was in the works. You know, we were getting a little bit of information about this off and on, and then finally things started picking up, and we started hearing about the casting. I was getting hyped, wasn't sure if he was going to direct it. Come to find out he didn't want to direct it. I'm kind of glad. Before I jump into it, I will say this will be a spoiler review. I will not be doing just a regular one. I'm going to get in the meat of this. So if you have not seen the movie, wait till you've seen it, come back. You can let me know how you feel in the comment section so we can, go toe to toe about how we truly feel about the overall movie, being that I feel this might be so considered the last one. He says that and then things happen. He always seems to come back, but this is looking like this is going to probably be the last one. So I just want to put that out there in the beginning. Spoiler review. I'm just going to just jump into it, speak my mind about this one. This is one of those franchises that I've loved since I saw the first one. I showed you all my DVD for First Blood. That started it all. I love it. Some people like the other one. Some people like the third one. Some people really enjoyed the fourth one. So, and don't get me wrong, I do love them. I just really have a soft place for the first one, like I stated. Now, for this one, of course, like I said, he's not directing this one. He decided to, bow out of that, and there's nothing wrong. Now, the director of this one, his name is Adrian Grunberg, and I will say this, with the way this was done in regards to the action aspect, I'm kind of glad. Now, he's done some work on television. He's worked on Narcos, which is a good show. He's also done work, kind of like, I want to say his actual title is considered second unit director, but he's worked on movies like Man on Fire. He's worked on Edge of Darkness, which I love. That was with Mel Gibson. He also worked with Mel Gibson on Apocalypto, which I love. I have that on DVD. One of my favorite movies. He's done Jack Reacher. This is just really just to name a few. And that's a pretty good, nice little chunk right there that gives me the aspect of, okay, when I was expecting, what I was expecting from a Rambo movie, I got that. That part definitely was not, just laced over it. He really delved into that. So you know what? Let's go ahead and just jump into this. Now, with this particular premise, let's just be honest from the get-go. When I'm watching a Rambo movie, I know what I'm expecting. I'm expecting action, and that's definitely at the forefront, whichever. When it comes to a storyline, the storyline in this one was rather very thin. I'm not surprised now. As you all know, he, of course, after the episodes of, the fourth installment, he is now living a very quiet life on a ranch where he is basically training horses. And I think they said in Arizona. And just, a simple life. He has a very close bond with a woman named Maria and her granddaughter. Now, of course, the way it's set up, the girl plays the daughter, granddaughter Gabrielle. She's played by Yvette Monreal. And basically, she loses her mother at a young age, whichever. Father's nowhere to be found. And she's getting ready to head off to college. You see scenes of her, hanging with her friends. They come to the house, whichever, because she was going to do some sort of, last little hurrah before she definitely steps and goes away to college. And of course, Sylvester's, character John decides, like, have him here, whatever. And she's like, what happened the last time, you kept staring at them. He's like, no, it's just a habit, whatever. He's scoping it out, and rightfully so. He knows a threat when he sees it, so he probably has a good intuition. So, and they do come there, whichever, and she has a talk with him, and in that talk, this is kind of what sets up what we're going to see throughout the movie, where she says that she kept in contact with a girlfriend named Giselle, who is across the border in Mexico, where she has tabs on where her dad. She wants to, she wants to see and have him explain to her why he left so long ago. And she's like, explain herself. And John's like, please don't, he doesn't care about, what she dealt with him. He was not good. The way, he treated her mother. At first, you don't know how far, in regards to story with how he treated her, mother. Now it becomes a little bit more, prevalent, in a discussion that she ends up eventually having with her grandmother. She basically makes him think that she's decided, he's like, just live a little bit, enjoy school, live a little bit with her, and if you want to, then fine. He wants her just to live her life, don't worry about that. Kind of setting a tone for if you confront him, you might not like what you hear. She eventually, the next morning, gets into a heated conversation, of course, with her grandmother, and her grandmother explaining, tell him, what you did, how you treated your mother, the instances of, abusiveness, things of that nature, whatever, and all that. And you could tell it's taking a toll on, Gabrielle, because she's not used to hearing all these things, because they kept her slightly sheltered about what was really going on with her dad. But in the end, as she's a child, she wants to hear it from him. There's only so much they can say, whatever, and it's almost kind of like they're trying to deter her. But let's just be honest, when you deal with kids, as much as they hear you, they still, test awards and still want to do what they want, whichever. And in the end, hence, she gives them an impression she's moved on. She's going to go hang out with her boyfriend or whatever. And in the midst of this, you see the scene where she's heading off. She decides, she stops, kind of thinks about it, and decides to head towards the border. Now, I will say this. The scene with her in the car, I'm not going to be the only one that says this. You all might come into this. You can clearly tell the way they did the scene of her in the car because it looks so fake. It was just like, okay, you all could not pan the scene of her in the car. It looks like you thought they were on some sort of sound stage in the part. That's just me nitpick, but I just had to say that because I kept staring at it like, why does this look weird? Why doesn't it look like she's actually on a road in the vehicle? And it looks like a back sound stage of a backdrop of what looks like to be a road, and it doesn't look real, but I'm sorry. I had to, because there's no way you cannot not notice that. I'm just saying. But overall, that's probably the only real nitpick I truly have about that. So needless to say, she goes. She wants it to Giselle, this person who claims to be her friend, whatever, and all that. I'm going to be honest with you, that ain't no friend. She, first has a little attitude about certain things, it's hard living over here, whatever. You left certain things, her grandmother told her that girl was never a friend, I'm glad she's gone, whatever. And just rightfully. So eventually she takes her to her father. They go, she meets him. Let's just say, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. He of course noticed her, she looks like her mother, whatever. He let her know up the cup how he felt. He was not here for her. He wanted nothing to do with her, whatever. No, that's why he left, whatever. You mean nothing to me, whatever. With no emotion, just straight poker face, whatever. And she's in tears, she leaves. And of course, Giselle's like, I don't want you leaving, driving, you're upset, whatever. You can leave in the morning, let me take you out somewhere with some of my friends. She takes her to a club, not paying attention. She's in an environment, she doesn't know any of these people. She only knows you. You're not paying attention. This guy's trying to come on to her, unbeknownst to her. He sips her Mickey or whatever. And before you know it, of course, the next day shows grandmother's like, she didn't come back home, whatever. I think she went, whatever, there. So of course, John's like, okay, he's on a mission. His quest is to get there, get her, bring her back, whatever. And he kind of, goes, and he scopes out and finds Giselle, whatever. Come to find out, Giselle basically is just wrong for what she's done, whichever. She was, not to say she was aware of what was going on, but of course she explains herself saying she was drinking, sue me, whatever. I turned around, she was gone, whatever. She was talking to somebody, whatever, and all that. My friends drove me up, whatever, and all that. Your friend is in an environment she doesn't know anybody. You should be concentrating on your friend, whatever. But then what makes her look even more tacky is the fact that she took her girlfriend's bracelet, which was her mother's bracelet. And John is straight cut off. And she would never give you that. That's from her mother. Her mother has passed away, from an illness. And she would give you her keepsake. Ain't nobody buying that crap. So needless to say, come to find out, she kind of had an idea who the guy was. He gets certain girls, whatever, and take her back to certain places. From there, you see where he's like, take me, whatever. He's like, because if you don't, he's gonna deal with her too. And she did what she needed to do, so she can come out of it literally unscathed. This is where you get introduced to one character who's within the actual club, kind of monitoring certain things, blending in, looking very just, played down, whatever, played by Paz Vega. She plays, actually, her character is like an investigative reporter. She has her own issues as to why she's there. And she kind of notices John kind of scoping it out or whatever. And from there, you see him watching the guy, and then you see how he follows him out, whatever, and all. He gets the upper hand on him, telling him, showing him the picture of, Gabrielle, what's up, where's she at, whatever. And literally, that's when you see one of the scenes of how John can really be, to get what he wants. And let's just say he broke a bone, bones visible, break it a little bit more. Really gross, but hey, here for it. That's the whole point of it. And she's kind of watching him. She decides to follow him because he knows the guy gave him information to take him to where he thinks she's at, which he knows full well. And it's a home. It's these little extra little houses up, above, and he's like, it's at the top. So of course he's walking around, whatever. And of course, this particular place is very highly, with security. The guys everywhere, they kind of catch him from the side pan. He's not really looking at all his visuals, but enough that he knows that they're everywhere. Everywhere he walks, you see him. So in the trailer, you all see the scene where it's all these guys around him, whatever, and he's finally confronted by what's considered the Martinez boys, played by, I want to say, Oscar Janata, who plays the character, I want to say Victor Martinez, and then Sergio Perez Mencheta plays Hugo Martinez, and they're considered, like I said, the Martinez brothers, and they're, very prevalent in the area of Mexico, whichever. They have their business they're running. Of course, they take girls, whatever, and use them. Almost considered like, sexual, trafficking, human trafficking of sorts, whichever. You see the scene where Gabrielle's with some, actual, girls, whatever. Some of them been roughed up, whatever. One tried to leave. And of course, there's a scene where you see where the character played by Oscar Victor, he lets it be known what not to do, not to try to leave, what can happen, and she's scared out of her mind. She doesn't know what to think is happening, whichever. So go back to John confronting whatever and all that. They of course check him. Of course he has, weapons. He knows that's going to be taken. He had quite a few, and they kind of get into like asking what he is, and he's not saying anything. He's just letting the guy run his mouth. He's arrogant, whatever. They have his, his license. He's like, I know who this is. This is this whole whatever. He recognizes it because he heard him saying in Spanish. Didn't matter. He caught those words, and he tried to come, and all the guys with the guns, whatever. And that's when they're like, okay, I didn't think anything of her, but now I'm gonna make an example of her, and they over time they beat him up. The woman played by, Paz Vega's kind of sitting there. She can't do anything until she waits for them all to disperse or whatever. They're like, we're going to leave you alive. And they kind of leave a little bit of a carved in memento. Victor's character decides, to, scraping up with his own markings, whatever. But at the fact, Hugo, you played by Sergio, he wanted to, just like leave him, let him live. He's like, no, kill him. That's where, they should have just did that because they did not. And she comes to his rescue, takes him back to her place, and she kind of helps him to fend off stitches, whatever, heal, whatever, in between these days that have passed. That's when you see what Gabrielle basically endures. She's being passed around. They're drugging her up so she doesn't have any way of having any energy to try to get away, whatever, and it's just so heartbreaking, because she knows she could have been a virgin. We don't know, whatever. Just such a sad scene. Whichever, you just feel so bad for this girl. So it shows he finally wakes up and then he's explaining himself. How to get. Who are you? What are you doing? And she explains that I lost my sister. Whenever these guys took advantage of her, and she's investigating, trying to get information. I mean, her room was filled with pictures of the guys. Martinez brothers, other people, whatever, the clubs, whatever. So she ends up him coming to her needing help, whatever. So from there, and it kind of just shows like, the grandmother's waiting when the days are going back, whatever and all. And she's just probably, hoping that he's okay. Her granddaughter's okay, whichever. So it kind of shows him, want to be taken back, whichever. And this is when he gets the upper hand on, getting her out of there. He finds exactly where she's at, whatever, kills a lot of guys. The girls will not leave. They're too scared, and rightfully so. They've, indebted the fear of them, even if they leave, whatever. If they find them, decide not to use them, they'll probably kill them, and then get some new girls. So they're just like, I'm not going to take the chance, whichever. And they're like, somebody came in here, somebody did this, who y'all didn't see, whatever. And of course, Oscar Shana's character, he's like, I know who did it. It's that guy. He took it, whatever, and all that. You should have just killed him. Next time, listen to me. So of course, Hugo's just like, he's like, telling other girls, get back to work. That's when you can see he, of course, does what he needs to do, whichever, where he sets up things to now, this is where we start picking up. The story definitely picks up in that last third, full act or whichever, where things are starting to happen. He goes back and starts setting stuff up with the house, whichever he needs to do, because when he brings her back, she at first, scared thing is another man, whatever, and she's like, you came back from me. He's like, I'm gonna get you home, you're gonna get taken care of and all. And he's trying to keep her awake, talking to her, because he knows she's been filled up, pumped up with drugs, whichever. And he's like, as long as she stays awake, whatever, I'll get her back in time, whichever. And in the midst of that, the sad thing happens, and she does pass. And it's so sad because he says it in when he pulls over, and he's like, I wish she could. Why couldn't it have been him? If this girl had her whole life ahead of her. He brings her back. The grandmother comes out, and he tells her stop in front of the truck, whatever. And she just kind of, takes it all in, whatever, goes up to the car, sees from the car, and opens the door, whatever. And you see the scene when she's been buried. She sees her high school graduation, picture. Some of her medals, probably from riding horses, things of that nature. And that's when he goes back. He sees Paz Vega, and she's like, why are you back here? If we are seen together, we're both dead, whichever. And she's like, he's like, explain to her, he's like, just move on. We have to all eventually move on. He's like, when they've done this and all, and he's explained to her the reasons of why you can't fully move on. This needs to be some sort of closure. It needs to be dealt with. And that's when she realizes, because truly she hasn't moved on. If you saw that room, you would truly understand, that she has not moved on. You've been sitting there. If he didn't come in and she didn't scope him out, she would not know, how he felt, exactly how she felt about these guys getting over and over and again, getting more and more girls, whatever. So in the end, this is her closure too. She's going to vicariously feel or get that type of closure through him. Let him do basically the dirty work. So she lets him know where the brother's at. And this is due with Victor Martinez, the main one who was the catalyst for what all the stuff that happened to Gabrielle, because Hugo's character really didn't care. He was just like, I don't care about these girls. I don't consider them human, whatever. His wording was, different. Oscar didn't care to really say anything, but once he started calling her all types of names, whichever we knew, leaving marks on his face, leaving marks on Gabrielle's face. So that was the one he knew. If I kill this one, the other one will come to me, and then I'm gonna have him on my turf, and that's when it's all gonna go down. That's the showdown. He goes back. He kills all the guys around there, and he does it very distinctly and very quiet. He knew he had to use his nice sharp object, his knife, did all the damage, cover the mouth, knock them out, get into that room. He's in the shower. You see the scene of the brothers show up, Hugo's character. He moves the brothers out. All you see is the body. They without the head. They show him driving away. Pull that head out. Throw that thing on the ground. In the midst of that, whatever. He's back at that house, whichever. He gets Grandma Maria, packs it up, goes to stay with her sister. There's nothing left. He's like, what are you gonna do? He's like, I'm gonna, kind of move around, whatever. She's like, I hope I can stay in contact. I'll see you again. He's like, yes. This shows him there, whatever. She's already gone. It's kind of look like it might be the next day, whatever, and he's kind of just like looking, kind of observing, whatever, and then eventually he notices them. They're already showing them getting all tactical, ready, whatever, Hugo got the ponytail. He's like, he's ready. He's got the full enforcement, everything, bulletproof vest, whatever. He's got his tactical team. They are on the march. They're in their SUVs heading towards him because, of course, they still had his ID, so they knew exactly where he was. The setup for the house, he's using the full ranch. He has that thing. So I will say this, when you see the way it's set up, they show this at the beginning because you see it where he does it, even though he trains his horses, he has a lot of tunnels up underneath the ranch of where the home is with the setup for the barn, everything. So it's basically like that is where all this stuff really happens with the third and final act with the full out action sequence. I mean, full out, you guys. It was beautiful, beautiful, bloody. Everything I envision, whichever. A lot of people are like, oh, the overall storyline, whatever. I ain't care about that. Let me just be honest. I was ready because I want to see that action, but I didn't mind the build up. Some of it was slow, but gradually, but that's it. I know a lot of people like if that was his daughter, maybe they could see him having investment, but why not? Why couldn't he have an investment? He considered her like a daughter. So that's considered, this was like his family. He knew her mother. He saw when she died. He dealt with the father, being abusive, whatever, and all that, not caring about her, leaving them when she was sick, in the hospital, whatever, before she died. So it's like, he had a bond, with them. He took care of the home. He watched over them. Gabrielle was, definitely protected, so both these ladies were in capable hands, and I think the mother probably was endeared to the fact, whatever. You see pictures where they show them all together too, the mother, the daughter, the grandmother. So yes, doesn't have to be his blood, whichever. She's considered blood to him, whichever. He's known her since she was a little girl. So seeing how it built up to this, to the point where this is my thing, the culmination of dealing with every injustice he's dealt with over the course of all the different years, the injustice of the disappointment of things that he's had to deal with, him losing her, and all you can think of is just like how much more. It's like one too many grievances, and it's just like it became too much. And this being considered like the final one, I mean, he went out, doing what he needed to do, dealing with them like he needed to. And let's just say that whole scene, like I said, Adrian Grunberg did what he needed to do, make sure that action had to be on point, because not to think we were ever going to get a fifth one, the way, it left with the fourth one, but just to bring it full circle, whichever, it had to be done right, and I feel like they hit it on the nail. I enjoyed every part of those scenes with all those guys, him setting it up, the detonations with all the, stuff, them getting close to the house like dummies. Like he infiltrated the home to kill his brother. So you're coming to his turf not thinking he's not prepared. Are you crazy? And it's like, that's when he realized, when he had to get out, when he saw the flames coming, circling all the different ways. One's going this way, which is probably Hugo. The other one's coming this way, coming up all these different ways, whatever, and not realizing it's set up. You're idiots, and that's okay. That's what we wanted, whatever. And occasionally, Hugo, of course, being the main one, try to kind of stay back, letting his guys doing it. You want to think is what maybe might have been somewhere between 30 guys, whatever, maybe 30 to 40, whatever. Him just killing them off. With his setup, the stuff he had underneath the with the tunnels, guns, strategically placed, knives as well, having certain holes to shove your pipes through to get the necks. I mean, just everything. It was bloody. It was awesome. It was awesome. You could hear the people in the theater when some of those scenes were happening. It's just like, oh my God. So much practical effects. I love it. I barely saw really any CGI, and I was thankful. Thank you for that. So yes, I mean, and then just to top it off, let's just say that he killed all the ones around him and made sure to leave him alive. Now, he could have killed him a long time ago. That is clear if you see certain parts of the scene within all the action. And eventually, like, when he tries, and he gets kind of hurt, a couple, in his side, of course, inside, I'm talking about John, Stallone's character. And he's like, talking to him about what he's going to do to him. He's like, F you. And he's like, you know what, you want to live, whatever, and all that. Follow the lights. He turns the lights on and detonates the down inside, in there and whatever to flush him out up into like the barn aspect, whatever. And when he comes out, you see the scene in the trailer where he's got the bow and arrow, which is one of his signatures. He basically, pushes him up against the wall, whatever, and all. And the part where he's walking towards him, got his boots on, looking all swole, walking to him. And that part when he was telling him on the on the actual little PA thing, whichever, how how you ripped, how you this doing what he did to Gabrielle, ripping his heart out. He says, this is how it feels. He takes that knife, he cuts down to the side, he goes in and he literally rips his goddamn heart out. It was beautiful. He deserved that. And to be awake to see it before he died, it was just like, yes, that's what I wanted, and I got what I wanted. Yes, so overall in the end, honestly, you guys, I enjoyed the movie. When I wanted Rambo less, but I got what I wanted. Overall story, like I said, rather thin, but just enough that sets the tone for what was really going to be happening in the movie, and that's really all I want. I wasn't expecting some type of story. This is, please, I was not. This is action. This is an action revenge type of movie. Like, let's just be real. Anybody expect anything, I'm like, I would just give them a side eye, like really, like, stop. Just stop. So, but yes. Now, I will say, of course, like I said, he told, Maria, he's going to move around. Of course, you see him on a horse, and he's leaving kind of bloody, because at first he sits down to kind of get his bearings, because he is injured. And then it kind of just shows, him, and eventually it goes to end credits. And I will say this, it got me very emotional, because when you see the end credits, I kid you not, they start showing scenes from the beginning of the first one, First Blood, going all the way down to this particular movie. Could you get me more emotional? And I was just like, are you kidding me? Oh my goodness, like almost like I said, come full circle with the franchise. And I feel like in the end, just let this be the last one. Not to take anything away from Stallone with and all that. He's great, whichever. He's ready to move on. And it's just like, that's it, whatever. I don't expect hopefully no reboot anytime soon with this one. Let it be a long time coming. But this is it. This should be it. Just, it is what it is, I'm happy with this. I feel this should be the last one, and he says this is the last one. A lot of people are like, whatever. I think this is his last one. The way they set the tone for it, and the way they definitely ended it with that end credit. So, but yes, you guys, like I stated, comment below when you have seen the movie. I already hinted at the beginning, this is spoiler. I want to just go ahead and get all into it. Did not feel like biting my tongue. So, but yes, I enjoyed this one immensely. I will say this, when they dressed down past Vega, I barely recognized. I kept staring like, I know who this person is, and I forgot that she was in this. So when I kept staring at her face, I was like, okay, recognize her now, okay, get it together. But yes, in the end, overall, love this. My rating out of a 10, I will give it a 9, just because of the just overall, thin storyline, whatever. Like, they couldn't add any more to that, and that's probably the only little really minor overall nitpick, because everything else was just perfectly done for me. So, but with that said, like I said, let me know what you guys think, and with that said, I will see you guys in the next review. You guys take care.